He started with a single iPhone, a borrowed Jeep with a winch on the front, and zero intention of ever being famous. By 2026, the business that grew out of those rescue calls in the Utah desert is estimated to be worth somewhere between $3 and $4 million. And the real number tells a very different story than what most people assume when they hear YouTube money. That person is Matt Wetzel, the man behind Matt's Off-Road Recovery, a channel with over 2 million subscribers that built its entire identity around one thing: getting people unstuck in places where nobody else would show up. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly where that money comes from, how a felony charge that could have ended everything actually made the channel stronger, and why the business model Matt built quietly in the desert of southern Utah is more durable than almost anyone expected. Matt Wetzel did not grow up dreaming about YouTube. He grew up on a small family farm in Washington County in southern Utah, one of 9 children, the only boy among 7 sisters, and the values that farm built into him are the ones that eventually made millions of people want to watch him work. Before any of this existed, he spent 12 years in the roofing industry, 10 of those as an employee, 2 of them as a co-owner, after he and a partner started Skyline Roofing in Hurricane, Utah. That company is still operating today. But Matt walked away from it. He sold his stake in Skyline, took that capital, and bought the assets of a local towing operation. He had towed a lot of heavy loads over the years, through roofing, through farming, but he had never towed professionally. He called the new venture Red Ryder Towing. A few years later, in 2013, he acquired another local company called Winder Towing. That name stuck, and it's the legal entity the business still operates under. What changed everything was geography. Matt's territory covers southern Utah near Zion National Park, one of the most visited national parks in the country, with terrain that chews through rental vehicles and unprepared tourists on a daily basis. People in rented side-by-sides were driving into sand, into rock faces, into creek beds. Polaris RZRs were getting swallowed by Sand Hollow. Jeeps were tipping over on trails that looked manageable from the pictures online. Matt kept getting the calls, and he kept solving them. He built a custom recovery rig, a 2001 Jeep Cherokee XJ he named the Yellow Banana, and figured out how to use kinetic energy ropes in ways that cut recovery times from hours down to minutes. No expensive crane, no flatbed that couldn't get to the location. Just physics, improvisation, and a lot of patience. 2 friends who worked desk jobs, one an airline pilot, the other a nuclear engineer, kept telling him he was sitting on stories nobody else was telling. They said he should write a book. He said he'd rather send pictures. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. In 2019, Matt Wetzel uploaded his first YouTube video. He titled it, "The First Recovery Video Ever, 53 Seconds of Introduction, No Production Budget, No Editing Team, No Plan." What followed was one of the more unlikely growth stories in YouTube's automotive niche. The format Matt stumbled into was not engineered, it was just how he worked. Every video followed the same rhythm: a phone call from a stranded motorist, the fast drive out to the location, the diagnosis, and the rescue. There was no drama manufactured in editing. The drama was already there, baked into the landscape and the situation. You'd watch Matt arrive at a Jeep buried past its axles in red sand and wonder if it was even possible to get out. Then you'd watch him solve it in 45 minutes, using a rope and a technique most tow drivers had never seen. The crew that formed around him gave the channel its texture. His wife Jamie handled billing and logistics and showed up on camera whenever needed. His son Rudy, from a previous marriage, became a skilled fabricator and trail driver, and was a core presence on the channel through early 2022. Tom, a longtime friend, brought an unusual background. He holds master's degrees in physics and nuclear engineering and spent 16 years as an engineer at the Idaho National Laboratory before moving to Utah to work with Matt. The man who builds recovery rigs on a channel about off-road rescues used to design components for nuclear research reactors. Then there's Ed. Ed is 85 years old. He's been in Matt's life since 2009, when Matt bought his current shop and Ed was already living on the property. Matt didn't hire him. He just couldn't ask the man to leave. Over time, Ed became a recurring presence on the channel, always cheerful, always slightly mysterious, and viewers loved him immediately. He skydives. He prospects for gold on a mining claim in California with a friend named Fred. He rides a Honda Rocon motorcycle around his claim, and once described carrying dynamite in the basket. Matt eventually converted part of the shop building into a proper apartment for him. Most people who know this story stop here, but the real story starts right now. By late 2021, Matt's off-road recovery had crossed 1 million subscribers. The channel was growing, brands were noticing, the business felt like it had momentum, that nothing could slow down. Then, in December 2021, the Utah Insurance Fraud Division filed a second-degree felony charge against Matt Wetzel. The charge centered on Winder Towing's AAA affiliate relationship. AAA pays affiliated towing companies for services rendered to members. Between January 2019 and August 2020, investigators alleged that Wetzel had submitted over $15,000 in claims that misrepresented the services actually performed. In one documented case, 3 vehicles were listed as having been towed to Salt Lake City, but the customer acknowledged the vehicles weren't actually towed and filed the claims after Matt suggested it in place of payment for a delivery of construction materials. In another case, an off-road vehicle recovery at Sand Hollow, footage of which appeared on the YouTube channel, was billed to AAA under a different vehicle's information because AAA's policy doesn't cover off-road recoveries. When investigators reached Matt by phone, he acknowledged that the claims were wrong on the front end. His position was that real services were performed, that he sometimes invoiced through this arrangement to ease the financial burden on clients in remote situations where the costs of recovery were steep. But he admitted the paperwork did not accurately represent what had happened. A second-degree felony in Utah carries a potential sentence of up to 15 years. In March 2022, that charge was reduced through a plea agreement. Matt pleaded no contest to a Class A misdemeanor for making a false insurance claim. 5th District Judge Jeffrey Wilcox ordered him to serve 18 months of probation and repay $15,328 to AAA, plus a separate fine of $1,745 to Utah's Insurance Fraud Division. His attorney stated that the plea reflected a dispute over process rather than the substance of the work performed, and confirmed Matt would fully comply with probation. What happened to the channel after that announcement? It kept growing. Here's what the comments kept asking, and here's the answer they never got, until now. When the plea was made public, the comments section became a genuine referendum. One side argued that fraud is fraud, that it doesn't matter whether the services were performed if the paperwork was false, and that a man building a brand around trust had quietly undermined it. Critics on Reddit were particularly direct about this. The other side pointed to how the recoveries were documented, publicly, on camera, with the people being helped always treated with respect, regardless of what kind of situation they'd driven themselves into. The argument was that the misfiling represented a small towing operation in a remote region running with informal billing practices, not a calculated scheme. Matt did not ignore the situation. He addressed it openly and kept uploading. The tone of his content didn't shift. The quality of the recoveries didn't change, and the viewers who had built an emotional connection to the channel largely stayed connected to it. There's something specific about why that happened. Matt's content had never been polished in a way that felt calculated. There were no thumbnails built purely for outrage. The humor was dry and situational. Nobody was performing. That baseline of authenticity created a reservoir of goodwill that the legal situation drew on and didn't empty. Rudy, his oldest son, left the channel in April 2022, shortly after the probation was handed down. He now runs his own channel focused on fabrication and welding, and maintains his own business. Randy, another crew member, had already departed in March 2021 to start All Terrain Randy. Lizzie, who brought a significant audience of her own and became a fan favorite in the fabrication space, went part-time in early 2023 to spend more time with her husband on his family's ranch in Kane County, and ultimately left in July of that year on good terms. The crew rotated, the channel continued, and that's when the decision was made, the one nobody around him saw coming. When the same, here is where the net worth conversation gets more honest. Estimating what a YouTube channel earns from AdSense alone gives you an incomplete picture. For Matt's off-road recovery, it gives you a misleading one. The raw AdSense numbers, based on the channel's view data and estimated CPM rates, suggest the channel generated somewhere in the range of $5,000 to $15,000 per month in ad revenue during peak periods. By May 2026, analytics data indicated that monthly AdSense earnings had trended down from the highs of mid-2024. YouTube's automotive niche pays reasonably well per 1,000 views, but as the channel matured and the algorithm's distribution of traffic shifted, the numbers moved with it. That AdSense number is not the business. The business is Winder Towing, a functioning, profitable towing and recovery operation that has been running since 2009 and that the YouTube channel dramatically expanded the reach of. The channel essentially became the most effective advertisement the towing company ever had. Stranded tourists who had watched the channel would call Matt specifically when they got stuck. The brand recognition the channel created translated directly into service revenue in a way that most YouTube channels cannot claim. Layered on top of that is the merchandise operation. The MOR official storefront sells branded apparel, recovery gear, stickers, and accessories year-round. It's not a passive income stream, it's an actively maintained storefront with new product drops and limited edition runs. Recovery gear in particular, sold to an audience of off-road enthusiasts who trust the person behind the brand, tends to convert well. Sponsorship deals add another layer. Matt has worked with brands including EcoFlow and others in the automotive and outdoor space. At the channel's scale and with its audience demographic, adults with disposable income who actively off-road, sponsorship rates reflect a premium niche rather than a mass-market audience. And then there's Jeff, known to the channel as Jeffee, JFEE, is Matt's nephew and a 16-year military veteran. He manages the business's accounts, budget, websites, crew logistics, marketing, and property assets behind the scenes. He's Matt's second in command. When something runs smoothly at MOR, Hita likely had something to do with it. Matt bought him a 2023 Ford Bronco Wildtrak Sasquatch, a truck worth over $50,000, as recognition of his role in the operation. That purchase alone says something about how the business is structured. This is not a solo creator making rent money from ads. It's an operation with payroll, with inventory, with a vehicle fleet, and with an employee base that includes family members who have built careers around it. The number that came next, nobody who followed this channel expected it. Really is hein de pitix, chisaistalatis, pili and balbili, chisaistalatis pili. Most credible sources place the figure between $3 million and $4.3 million, with some estimates nudging as high as $5 million when all business assets are included. Those numbers are estimates. There is no public financial disclosure. Matt has never confirmed a specific figure. What the estimates represent is a model built on several pillars that reinforce each other. The towing operations revenue, the YouTube ad share, merchandise and gear sales, sponsorship income, and the real estate and equipment assets tied to the shop, the vehicles, and the property in Hurricane. The recovery vehicles alone represent significant capital. The yellow banana has been through full rebuilds and extensive upgrades. The Morvair, a highly modified Corvair that became one of the most recognized vehicles on the channel, took years and considerable money to develop. The Heavy Wrecker is a commercial-grade asset. The Golden Nugget, a 1970s Suzuki LJ40 that belongs to Ed and that the crew helped recover from his California gold claim, is a different kind of asset, pure television. What the net worth number cannot quantify is what the channel means to the local economy of Hurricane, Utah. Matt has used his platform to raise money for community projects. When a family needed support, the community rallied through the channel. The campaign for an all-abilities park in Hurricane raised $100,000 through the channel's audience, $70,000 from online donations alone, with the rest coming through the local Rotary Club. He turned down approaches from television networks. The offers would have meant creative oversight, content restrictions, and a different relationship with the audience. He kept the creative control. The business model he built instead, one that doesn't depend on a single platform's algorithm or a network's editorial decisions, turns out to be more sustainable than the TV deal would have been. And if you think that was surprising, stay with me, because this next part is why the whole story matters. As of mid-2026, Matt's Off-Road Recovery carries over 2.1 million subscribers. The channel uploads regularly and maintains strong engagement relative to its size, with an engagement rate that analytics platforms have rated as excellent for its category. The single biggest proof of where the brand stands in 2026 is the Off-Road Games event. Matt's Off-Road Games returned to Sand Hollow State Park in Hurricane, Utah, in March 2026, running from March 19th through March 21st. The event expanded to include a proper Thursday evening kickoff, making it a full 3-day experience for the first time. The 2026 games brought together wreckers, off-road YouTubers, sponsors, and fans from across the country. Live bands, fireworks, wrecker course competitions, a family zone, vendor booths, and full meet-and-greet sessions were all part of the weekend. The channel described 2026 as the best iteration of the event yet. Tens of thousands of people attended. The 2026 games also featured Caitlin Boren and Laura from Laura Farms sharing MC duties, a choice that reflects both the reach of the broader off-road YouTube network and the natural alignment of those communities. A portion of all ticket proceeds went to the Utah Public Lands Alliance and to search and rescue, continuing a charitable component that has been part of the event since its early iterations. Adult tickets were priced at $124.99. VIP tickets carried additional perks. A limited edition off-road games t-shirt was part of the package. Do the math on attendance and ticket revenue at a 3-day event of that scale, and you understand why events have become a serious revenue stream that operates entirely outside of what any platform can throttle. Tom, the former nuclear engineer turned fabrication specialist, remains a key presence. Ed, now 85 and still periodically absent for long stretches at his California gold claim, continues to anchor the channel's emotional core in a way that no amount of production budget could manufacture. Most people who know this story stop here, but the real story starts right now.
Our destination. The net worth conversation about Matt Wetzel misses what's most interesting about the number.
$3 to $4 million built by a middle-aged tow truck driver from a small Utah city, using an iPhone, a beat-up Jeep, and a genuine instinct for how to treat people in their worst moments on the trail. No agent, no manager who spotted him, no viral moment manufactured in a studio. He figured it out himself, surrounded it with family and longtime friends, and built a business model durable enough to survive a legal crisis that would have ended most channels in year 3. The insurance fraud case was real, the consequences were real. And the way he handled it, not with a dramatic apology video designed to trend, but by continuing to show up and do the work, revealed something true about the man that the channel had always suggested but never explicitly stated. Matt Wetzel values consistency over performance. That value runs through every part of the business. The merch store isn't a merch store that launched to capitalize on a viral moment and then went quiet. The events aren't one-off stunts. The sponsorships aren't random brand deals chasing whatever category was hot that quarter. The whole thing has the structure of someone who was thinking about longevity from the beginning, even when the beginning was a 53-second iPhone video called the first recovery video ever. By 2026, the audience has grown with him through crew changes, through legal trouble, through the inevitable shift in YouTube's algorithm that brought down the raw AdSense numbers. They stayed because the content stayed honest. And the business stayed profitable because it was never really just about the content. Matt Wetzel built something that most YouTube creators spend years trying to manufacture and never actually achieve. A business that operates beneath the channel, that doesn't need the channel to be having its best algorithmic year in order to survive. As of 2026, that business keeps growing. The events are bigger, the merchandise line is broader. The crew has changed, but the core operation is more professional and better organized than it's ever been. Hefei manages the infrastructure. The cameras keep rolling. Ed keeps disappearing to California to look for gold. And Matt keeps getting called out to places in the Utah desert where nobody else will go. What's next is whatever Matt decides. He's already turned down the version of this story where a TV network takes over and smooths out everything that makes it worth watching. The version he's building instead, slower, less flashy, harder to replicate, appears to be exactly what he wanted from the start. Do you think Matt made the right call keeping total creative control instead of taking the network deal? Or do you think he left serious money on the table? Drop your answer below.